Hey, everyone. Welcome to another great episode of the Sales Evangelist podcast here on TSC TV on YouTube. I'm your host, Donald C. Kelly, the Sales Evangelist. And I'm so excited for another great episode. I'm excited to be here with you today. And my guest today, Daphne, is going to talk about her experience when it comes towards following up, how she helps clients. And one of her clients, they 8x their profit. Not their revenue. She emphasized that on the episode. 8x their profit from following up. And how you can go about making this happen seamlessly. This could work for you just as much as it worked for her client. We're going to have fun. It's going to be good. And I want you to take and apply one thing from this episode that can help you. Let's see what Daphne has to share. Daphne, it's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you so much, Donald. It's always so awesome to meet with amazing people and to just share some knowledge and value. I love it.
Of course. And I'm super excited for this episode because one, follow-up is critical. And I'm a big fan of follow-up. I bragged about you a little bit in a teaser there and the introduction. But why don't you tell us a little bit more about you and why you're so passionate about following up?
All right, awesome. So my name is Daphne Thompson and I am the founder at Catch the Beat. We create wealth for market leaders in order to ignite change in their communities. And the way that we do that is through digital marketing. My vision is really to empower and mobilize the market leaders, which is everyone that's basically in sales and everyone that's basically in a decision-making position, so that if they are empowered with wealth, the world can change. That is honestly what I'm after. And like our vehicle is digital marketing. So I'm here to try and help those market leaders in following up so that they can get so much more out of their hard work in getting through the sales process.
You know, I could relate to that. I like that. I think that mission is powerful. So I commend you on that. I think there's a lot of power in the idea of creating that generational wealth. And if you can help one person succeed and, you know, you're going to help a lot of people down a pipeline. And sales is one of those great avenues where we can go about doing that. So I'm excited and especially about this topic today too, with following up. Now, before we dive into that, everybody might say, well, you know, Donald, I do following up all the time. I don't know if what Daphne's going to tell me is anything different. I make phone calls all the time to follow up, but let's clarify what we mean by following up. You mind doing that for a second?
Yeah, sure. So a follow-up is not just a phone call. Great. That is just a call to say, hey, have you thought about it? Hey, can we set up another meeting? What a follow-up is what is the amount of value that you're giving to that person in that touch point that creates it a no-brainer. So any follow-up must be at least 80% value and 20% sales only. So do you have a follow-up structure for at least 12 touch points afterwards? Usually, statistically wise, by the 12th touch point only, do people convert 60% of their sales. So do you have a text message, a Facebook message, an Instagram touch point? Do you meet with them on Clubhouse? Do you have a phone call, an email follow-up? What is that structure that is easy, manageable for you, and that is sustainable that you can put in place with reminders and with whatever CRMs put that in place as well, but so that you have a value-based follow-up process in order to close 60% more of your sales pipeline.
Boom. Love that. And we're going to go into that. Let's just give an example though, because I feel, we'll back up. I just want to re-emphasize what you just shared there. It's not just the phone call. It is. And you said platforms where it requires me to be like connected with this individual, like more than just seeing them as like, you know, somebody that's just going to give me money. It's like, you know, like Clubhouse or Instagram or, you know, LinkedIn or whatnot. It's me taking that relationship to another level. I remember one guy, I was reaching out to Daphne. He had an appointment with me. We met, we had a discovery call and I wanted to stay in touch with him, but I didn't want to be that guy just to do, hey, you ready? Hey, you're just following up. I went onto Twitter and we were both connected on Twitter. So I connected with him on multiple platforms and I just liked and retweet one of his tweets. I wasn't trying to do it just to follow up. The point though, he took it as a follow up and he was like, hey, Donald, so sorry about that. I need to get back to you. Let's schedule a time, blah, blah, blah. And it was just me being there. And what I love about it is this idea of this touch point and taking the old school mentality, just following up, like, anyways, you get what I'm getting at.
I tell you, I love what you said there, because what you technically did is you added value to his pipeline by retweeting. You gave value to him, which means now you become an asset and you become someone that doesn't just want something from them, but you added something to their social media following as well, which means, yeah, cool. I actually do want to talk to this guy because it's not just a take situation. He gave. So what is that value-based follow-up? If it is a retweet, if it is that, a lot of the times when I do prospecting even, I use that same methodology. That's the right word. Of starting to target the people of who I want to talk to, commenting on their things, to resharing their content. And then, yes, put in an inbox message in between there as well. However, that same principle works phenomenally well when you follow up. It is just a little bit harder, or it could be a lot easier because you already have a relationship. You already had a discovery call. You already had a phone call. The follow-up now is how do you keep that relationship going? So if you think about it in a normal human relationship, what people sometimes do is they go into and it's like, slam, bam, thank you, ma'am. And then they expect miracles that happen. What they forget is if you take things into a normal human relationship, it usually takes a few steps for people to get to that conversion stage, which could be intimacy, or it could be just hanging out, or whatever the relationship is. But in human relationships, there's a process that follows. It's usually when you see someone, it's eye to eye, eye to body, hand to hand, hand to shoulder, hand to back. And that's how the process carries on for you to actually get to a conversion. It could be whatever the conversion is in your human relationship. But online, you need to follow the same steps. If you stop following up with a person in human relationship, the relationship fails, right? Same thing in business. So how do you add value to that person's life in order for them to go, yeah, I do want to continue this conversation with you, and let's actually go on a date, or let's get married, or whatever the thing is that is your next logical step in your follow-up process. Does that help?
Oh my goodness. Of course. 100% there. And one of the other pieces that you shared is just recognizing, I just want to reemphasize that if you guys didn't catch what Daphne shared there, too often sales reps I see, and I've done this, I've seen the prospect as Mr. Prospect or a lead rather than Daphne or James or Mary or Lisa or Donald. Those, when you can connect on a human level, makes them such a big difference. And anyways, just like, so I love it. The other thing that you mentioned before, and we had a conversation about this, is about the number of time it takes to follow. The number of follow-up that usually should happen before a deal generally is converted. And I want to hear your take on why salespeople give up on that so soon in a process. So what's that number? I think you mentioned was 12, but then why salespeople give up so easily?
I think because their why isn't big enough. Like, honestly, that's the main thing. Why do you want to make these sales? Just to please your boss, or do you because you want to be able to pay your bills at the end of the month? But why is it that you actually want to make these sales? So if you have your why and you have this vision of creating a lifestyle for your family for generations to come, your why is big enough. So let's just do this. Can you please take out your calculator?
Let's do it.
Awesome. So what I want you to start thinking about is, what is your why? What is it that drives you forward in order to make that sales and to keep this relationship going? All right. So now you've got your big why. How much does that cost? Is that, or like is that 60,000, for example, to give your kids to college? Is it a dream holiday that you always want to spoil your wife with on a honeymoon? It could even just be you really have never owned a fancy, luxurious yacht or car, whatever the thing is. All right. So to keep that number in mind. Now, just to make this easier, let's make it that your target is $1,000 a month that you need to make.
Okay.
All right. Just make it easy. So what is 60% of that? That's 600, right?
Sure. Uh-huh.
Okay. So just keep your numbers in mind. But all right, now we've got on 600. So times that by 6 months, how much do we get?
600? Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So that's about 6,400, right?
600 by 6 months?
Yeah, by 6 months.
3,600?
3,600. Cool. Now 3,600, so if you take the 6 months now and you times that by 12, that is what you're missing out on. So that's about 7,200, right?
Yeah, 600 times 12. Yeah.
That is what you're leaving on the table on a yearly basis on these small numbers that we are talking about. Now, can you imagine what that would look like for a year and a half, 2 years, 3 years? How much would that be that you're leaving on the table with this very, very small amount that we're using as an example? Now, I believe if your why is big enough for that, then that is what drives you forward. So my mission is totally, I want to impact the lives of 25 million people. I need a whole lot more than just a $600 additional per month. But that is the why that keeps me going of, all right, why do I need to follow up? What is the next follow up? What's in my first discovery call with this person? What did I pick up on what is important to them? What makes them tick? What is the value that I can add to them that would make them feel seen and heard? Because if you're able to do that to the prospect that you're talking about and you follow up in that manner that is meaningful to them and that they feel as a massive perceive, you kind of got it you turn it into a no-brainer, which means your follow-up process will eventually become a little bit shorter and shorter and shorter as you master the skill. How would you apply it in your business?
As you can tell already, I'm a believer in the power of Scipio. Text messaging allowed me to communicate with my clients and help to schedule more appointments. It works, but don't take my word for it. Hear what Ben Hodson, the CEO of Job Nimbus, has to say about it.
Prior to using Scipio, our average number of people that would show up and actually come to our demo sessions was about 72% of all of so we booked an appointment, about 72% of those people would end up showing up. But with Scipio, it went almost to 90%. It was like 88.5 or something like that. So it was a huge jump.
But the neat thing about Scipio is that you don't even need your management to be involved to do it. You could start using this right now as an individual contributor.
One of our employees used to be at Scipio. As he was doing his daily sales work, he was getting more people to attend his appointments than other sales reps were. And the word sort of got out on the sales team, and other people were asking, how is he getting such a higher rate of people showing up to his appointments? Turns out he was using his old Scipio account to send text messages, reminders, and to interact with those customers in a way that we just weren't doing at the time. And I found out we had a bunch of reps doing it and we were seeing great results, and we went to Scipio and we became a customer.
Hey, don't take our word for it. You can try Scipio for free for yourself. Go to Scipio.com and you will get 1 month free on any plan. Again, that's Scipio.com. Use promo code TSE100. Again, that's TSE100. This is perfect. I mean, I think about it from our prospecting standpoint, whether it's our BDR teams or whether it's myself, we are big believers in following up. But let's just use a hypothetical example of saying we're not doing that well. Let's say an average deal size could be, let's just say $10,000. I'm just playing. That's what I was playing here while you're talking. I'm like, man, if they don't do those follow-ups, man, that's some money they're leaving on the table. And that's not only affecting them, but affecting their family, affecting us as an organization, as a team, as a whole. So it's definitely critical for that.
No, definitely. I always have this image in mind that when you're in the market field, you're in war. It's absolute war. When you are in the market field, some people tell it as a sports game. Cool, I like war. So if you go in the morning, what is your strategy? Are you going to follow up on all these little things that you have been continuously doing? Remember, all sales is a series of yeses.
Yeah.
So if one person fail in your soldier team, it kind of does weaken the army continuously until there's no one kind of left. But if you lose the war, it's not just you that lose. It is your whole team that misses that. And I think that's also part, but a lot of salespeople miss out is it's not just you. You are the person that brings in the business, which means you are responsible indirectly for how many people that's in your team, how many people are in the organization. And if you start thinking of it in that format, it does become bigger and your why becomes bigger, which means it drives and motivates you, hopefully, to actually follow through on your 12 follow-up steps afterwards. So in our organization, we have 52 steps currently.
Whew.
That is a continuous thing that just follows up, which means either we piss off people a lot or we get a lot of people that goes, hey, that persistence is something that I want to work with. And we have had people literally come to us a year later only and going, hey, Jeff, so I think I'm ready now.
Yeah.
And a lot of that, what people, Donald, a lot of things that they miss out on is they think that this must be a manual thing. We can automate these steps right now. Digital is phenomenal, so we can automate it, that it still seems personable, that you're still building a relationship and you're still adding value. It all depends on how you tag your prospect and in which funnel you kind of put them in for them to still add that amazing amount of value afterwards. Sorry, I hope that helps.
What platform do you utilize to, if the sales reps listening to this, or a team or a sales leader, and they're thinking about doing some more of these automated things, what platform is best to do that on? Does it matter whatever tool they use, they can create those automations on, or is something you recommend?
I can't actually recommend any tool because it's like, what do you like best, pizza or pasta? Pizza, what do you like, avo on it, or do you like meat? It really depends on the person. However, what I have seen is majority of the follow-up systems that there are in place, the CRM system, work very similar. Majority of them work very, very similar. The buttons are just different colors and the buttons are in different places, but the functionality is usually very similar. I like Zoho. I like even ActiveCampaign as a follow-up system. We've worked with Prospect Rockets. We've worked with Entrepreneur. We've worked with, shucks, there's so many. But what I do, MailChimp. So for the smaller guys, a MailChimp is actually a really good system because it's free up until a certain amount of emails or a certain amount of contacts. So that might be something for the smaller guys. But it really depends on what your needs are and which functions, if you want to do a text message for example, on Touchpoint 6, what platform will be able to fit your strategy? I would rather go with what is your strategy that is sustainable for you, and then find a platform that fits your lifestyle and your strategy.
Makes sense there. Let's just go into talking about the how. How do you go about making this happen now? Now that we know that it's important, what's the first step that if an organization is looking to automate some of these things that they should start looking at doing when it comes to their following up?
The first things I always ask people is actually go educate yourself. Go and learn what these things are, because if you are able to understand the system, one, no one can talk a hole in your head of whatever the system is. And second of all, you are educated, and with knowledge becomes power. So if you want to hire someone, for example, to do that, know what you're talking about as well, just a little bit. I don't expect you to know all the technical terms because that's just going to be silly. But do understand what the principle should be like. So that's the first step that I would say. For any sales exec or something that wants to go into that, I would probably do a survey or something beforehand also to ask different reviews, put other people to fit into that. And okay, this is going to be so counter thing, but to try and hear what a sales person is doing when they come and sell to you the platform might not always be the best. So what do they use? Are they actually using their personal the product that they're selling, or what products are they using? And you want to see that. So for someone that wants to do that, get educated. Of course, I would love people to hire me to do that for them because I really know how to do this and what the trick points is. Just to give an example, about this last year, financial year, we did from a consultative approach to a company, we were able to 8x their profit, not revenue, profit, by optimizing their follow-up system specifically.
Wow.
So that is a massive, powerful tool to say exactly where all this comes from and why people should really stick through on the follow-up. And it's consistency. Consistency trumps everything. You can't just go to the gym once and expect to have a six-pack. You kind of have to eat well too, and rest and do all the rest and keep it consistent. The same with follow-up. You only get your massive results over a longer period of time.
Man, I wanted to just have it show up there and just make it happen. That explains why my workout plan isn't working too well.
Yeah, that instant gratification.
Dang it. I did a run the other day. I should be able to run 10 miles now.
Yeah.
No, good point on this. And I was going to ask you about that. I know you'd mentioned it about that case study. You kind of hit up on that there. For time purposes, I know there's probably a ton that we could go into and that we can, go down, different rabbit holes when it comes towards following up. But you tagged on the big component that I feel, having a strong enough why, understanding how you can automate this, how you go about starting this, getting yourself educated on it. And just the simple fact, doing it. It's not going to happen overnight. This is a relentless process of over and over and over and over. And like you said, some people, like when you said some people will get ticked off and get unhappy, and initially some business owners will say, see, that's why I don't do it. But I'm like, in my mind, I'm thinking, it doesn't sound like those people would buy from you in the first place, or as a seller. If you do follow up, if they're not going to like your tune, they're going to be the ones that you're just going to keep holding on to and just keep sitting there and hoping and hoping and hoping and praying. And they probably will never, ever respond. And you just have another prospect that is dead weight, so to speak. So it's important that you follow up and get the right people on the bus, and the ones who won't, they'll excuse themselves. So I think that's important, not to be afraid of offending people.
Exactly. I mean, I think one of the salespeople in general should have the thickest skin ever. They get said no
Thick
to
skin here.
so thick. They get said no to so many times before. I mean, I was actually just having a discussion the other day about Colonel Saunders. I mean, how many times did he get said no, even though he had an amazing product and all that is amazing, but he was still his own sales agent. How many times did he had to hear the word no before it became a massive franchise and a worldwide global phenomenal for me?
Yeah.
It's the same thing with sales. You kind of need to be consistent in what you do and be okay with the word no. Make that your next favorite word. It doesn't need to have a negative connotation. It really doesn't. It can just be, all right, cool. Well, yeah, I'm only on my first and my second follow-up. It's not a no yet until we pass the 12th one.
Yeah. Try different strategies.
Exactly.
If there's one major takeaway, Daphne, you want listeners to walk away with from as a result of us having this conversation, what they heard today about follow-up, what's that one major piece of advice?
Just keep at it. Keep consistent. 60% of all sales only made at the 12th follow-up. Keep that in mind. It's not an overnight success. And if you want that, probably not going to get the qualified leads that you need. So
not here.
keep at it. We actually did a training on that recently. So if you go to our website on www.catchthebeat.ca for 360 marketing, just click on that and you'll get a full webinar of how we delve deep into these specific follow-ups and how to run your funnel in order to get it optimized. It's free. Just register and we'd love to have you on our webinar as well. Just get that training. It will really help you to get to the next level.
Well, we're excited. I love that. I'll go ahead and put a link back in our show notes to go back to your website. Daphne, we are so grateful to have you here. Thank you so much for your wisdom, for sharing this with us, and hope folks can go back and connect with you and become friends just as much as we're connected here and we're learning from you as well. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Donald. This was amazing. You've got an amazing platform. Thank you for sharing it with me as well.
Thank you.